Yes. Welcome to the Victor Mukasa Show. It has been a long time since we were here with you due to a lot of other business happening elsewhere. However, we are back and I welcome you all. For those who are just coming in, welcome to the Victor Mukasa Show. It is back for you. The day today is Friday, I'm still behind there. It is Friday, April the 2nd, 2021. Here in Baltimore, it's bright. The sun is up, but really very, very cold. And I pray that wherever you are able to find the best temperature for yourself. I also hope that you're keeping safe during this pandemic that continues to hover over all of us. In today's episode, we will be going back and revisiting the story that we have been sharing here over the past 1 year regarding the plight of LGBT refugees in Kakuma camp, the plight of their allies in Kakuma camp. Our focus has been on Block 13, where we have had close to about 45 attacks, different attacks on LGBTQ folks there over the past 9 months. Now that is a lot, and that is why we call this a crisis. On the show today, I will have one of the representatives of the LGBTQ plus refugees in Kakuma camp. They will be updating us about what is happening over there. You know that on March 15th, we had a really bad fire attack. A petrol bomb was thrown onto members of Block 13 as they slept, and we had 2 gay men injured. They caught fire, started running around, fire, because of these homophobic attacks that keep happening. And we believe this was another of those homophobic and transphobic attacks at Block 13. For those who have just joined us, the representative from the block will give us an update and basically explain in brief what Block 13 is about. And before I waste any more time, I will invite Gilbert Kagara, who is the lead spokesperson at Block 13 and also a member of the Block 13 LGBTQ plus refugees advocacy team, a group that is seeking safety and protection from UNHCR. Gilbert, I was trying my level best to give an update and also introduce you, but you are the one experiencing whatever we are addressing here today over there in Kakuma. And so I welcome you to the show. If you could just introduce yourself to our viewers just briefly, and then we will dive into this show, which is going to look at the current predicament of LGBTQ plus refugees in Kakuma camp. Gilbert?
Thank you, Victor. Thank you so much. My name is Gilbert Kagara, and I'm a human rights activist in Kakuma Refugee Camp. Yes, I'm the lead spokesperson, Block 13, where a lot of unfortunate events have been happening. Well, it's not just Block 13 per se. Kakuma as a whole is a death trap, except that perhaps more voices have been coming from Block 13 as compared to other places. So the difference has been really in the ability to speak out, not in the experience, really. The experience cuts across the whole camp is insecure, but at least Block 13 has been able to raise awareness about what is happening in the camp.
Yeah, just before you continue, just very briefly, what is Block 13? How is it different from other blocks? How did people get to Block 13 for that one who has not been following this very, very closely?
Well, Block 13, call it the voice of the LGBTQ folks in Kakuma. This was created by UNHCR when they were panicking, trying to get rid of the LGBTQ folks from outside their compound. They, in a haste, dumped all of us in that particular place that is called Block 13. And they used, of course, COVID as an excuse for dumping us there. But ever since they dumped us there, surely they have not done anything about our situation and the reason we had gone to their compound in the first place to seek protection and safety.
Yeah,
So
based on
Block
what I have read about Block 13, everything I've seen from there, I call it bloody Block 13, because it is blood that I see around there. And then people can keep following us on our social media accounts to get an understanding of what Block 13 is, why it is, but also touch a little bit on the numbers in Kakuma camp of LGBTQ plus individuals, and how many do we have at Block 13.
Excuse me. We in Kakuma you have about 300 LGBTQ plus refugees, and about half of them are on Block 13.
Half, that's a huge number of
Yes.
people to be, that are facing these constant violations. I have learned also from research at Block 13 in Kakuma camp that you have had 45 attacks in the last 9 months. Brutal homophobic attacks.
Yes, it's very worrying. Anybody who really cares about human life would be concerned, just like you.
That
you
is
pointed
true.
out.
That is true. March 15th, we learned of the unfortunate events at Block 13. We know that two gay men caught fire after a petrol bomb it was thrown and blasted at Block 13. Ever since then, there's been a lot of advocacy, a lot of media work, media campaigns for the protection and safety of Block 13. For those who have just joined us, I think this is where you get to learn briefly about what is happening, what is the latest on Block 13 after that attack, that last brutal, horrible fire attack, and also where are our patients that we had were flown to Nairobi.
You raise a very good question. Where are our patients? Now, this is something that UNHCR has taken very casually. First of all, it was a tug of war to get them to take them to a decent hospital. It took a lot of advocacy and calls from the international community to get them to act. Now, after they have taken them, they separate them from everything that they know in their state of trauma. Separate them from the caregivers, they separate them from the people they know, they cut them off. And we don't know what is happening with them, whether they are alive or dead. UNHCR has not been giving us an update on their condition.
They've never told you anything about
we don't know
colleagues.
What's happening. No, which we find very shocking for an institution of their caliber.
But I mean, they're in hospital. The rest of you are still in Kakuma. What's happening in Kakuma now? Like, what is happening with that situation? So many statements that are coming from UNHCR over the 9 months, but the last statement that was released by UNHCR shortly after the fire attacks, a few days after the fire attacks, if I could just pull it up here, let me just see if we can access it. The last statement that was issued by UNHCR. Yes, the first paragraph actually says UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, remains deeply committed to the protection of LGBTQ plus refugees and asylum seekers across the world, including in Kenya. Now, we know that there was no protection given after all your calls and cries by the UNHCR. Has there been anything different from the usual inaction by the UNHCR? This time, after seeing two men running around with fire because of homophobic attacks.
Thank you for that question, Victor. Frankly, now that you mentioned the statement, for me, you're at the gist of the problems of UNHCR. Their statement is a clear indication of the disorder, the intentional scramble and partition of the LGBTQ refugees that they are driving in Kakuma. I'm using these words. They are dividing LGBTQ refugees. Just,
Can you talk a little bit more about what you call the scramble and partition of LGBTQ refugees in Kakuma, in connecting it to the situation of LGBTQ refugees in Kakuma now?
Victor, you have a situation where people are being brutally attacked. You've mentioned 45 attacks in a space of 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And the UNHCR, instead of putting out a statement that this is what we have done to protect them, they come and say we remain deeply committed.
Yeah, seemingly they're
This
doing
statement,
according to their statement.
this statement is simply they are trying to convince the world that, look, we know confidence in us is fast eroding, but we want you to have confidence in us again, that we are actually committed to protecting of refugees. When refugees cry for a safe place, simply a safe place, and an institution like UNHCR is not able to provide that, and issues a statement saying that they need resettlement. You have not given a simple safe place within a whole country, and you're saying they need resettlement. That's why we cannot give them a safe place. How can they believe that you're deeply committed? Why won't confidence in an institution like UNHCR run away? This kind of statement does not bring back confidence. Even if they write we are deeply committed for 10 years without any action, it is still going to take away confidence in them. Actually, now the public has no confidence in UNHCR. That's why they're trying to win it back.
So this is not reality, what UNHCR, because there are so many other paragraphs that address, that basically bring out what they claim that they are doing in terms of protecting Block 13. Because finally, it looks like they're even aware that there are attacks. And in past statements, we have seen that you are having small tensions and sometimes there's silence about what is happening.
Yes. If you look at the next part of the statement, they claim that they have been monitoring the situation in Kakuma.
Yes.
Now, for an institution that is meant to act, that is very disappointing. For how long are you going to monitor? And what is their job? Are they actually there to monitor or actually to protect? I'm telling you, this statement is UNHCR has actually put outside their linen. What are they doing monitoring? Why are they not acting? That's the question. That's why confidence is running away from them.
So, in simple terms, what has UNHCR done? Because I know you have cried out to them, the world has cried out to them, and everybody's asking for protection of Block 13, LGBTQ refugees in Kakuma. UNHCR has done nothing.
No, they have issued a statement.
Oh, that's what they've done?
That's what they have done. They have issued a statement. And in their statement, they say that they are monitoring. Shocking. Would you believe that?
I mean, they're talking about things like resettling some 30 people, for example. It means that they're beginning to do something.
We will come back. We will get to that part where they claim that they have resettled some people.
Okay.
If we could just go to paragraph 2 of that statement.
Okay.
There they say that a lot of people are living peacefully within the camp.
Yeah, that's right. That's in the statement.
And yet they say they have resettled some 30 people following an assessment. We have not seen any relocations at Block 13. Now, it means the people they are relocating are from other blocks. Now,
but then those must be safe.
Absolutely, that's what they're claiming. Now, if they are living in relative safety, then why are you relocating them?
Why are they being relocated? Because I think that we need the ones to be given safety at Block 13. The others say they're fine.
Absolutely. Now, they say that the reports from Block 13 come in stark contrast. They do not say what they are doing about the reports. These reports have been coming in for over a year. And all these injuries that you see, unfortunately, they could have been avoided. Now, if it is a small group, really, as they are claiming in their next paragraph, then why can't you just protect them and then you have the entire protected? If you have a lot of people already living in safety, then it means that your work is less. You have a small group to protect. Now, if you can't protect that small group that is remaining, then what are you doing as an institution like UNHCR? telling you, this statement is shocking, Victor.
Just unpack this statement for us.
And yes, if the others are safe, is that a reason not to protect this? It's like coming to you and I have a neck that is almost falling off. And you say, yes, I can see the extent of your injury, but how come for him he has a scratch on the finger? Implying that you will not work on me because I cannot explain why I have a bigger injury than the other one. That doesn't sound like...
I think it's how UNHCR understand things, because as a human rights defender myself, an advocate, I have reached out to organizations seeking support in terms of amplifying the voice of Block 13. And many of them have come back to say, we have met with UNHCR, even individuals, and they say UNHCR continues to tell them that some of these injuries are actually self-inflicted by members of Block 13 in search of an expedited processing of their asylum cases to get to a third country. What do you say about that, Gilbert? Because this is what is going around from what UNHCR is telling the world. Because I've had this rape, and actually I have actually engaged with some of the rape victims. I have engaged with those who have cracked their heads. I have seen fires, live videos of houses on fire. And I'm wondering, do people at Block 13 do this themselves, as UNHCR tells people in their meetings?
Thank you very much, Victor. Now, one thing that I want to highlight to everybody that is watching and everybody that will watch this after, UNHCR has a problem. They do not listen. Even on the few occasions that we have met them, they pretended to listen. Victor, you have followed the campaign of safety and security in Kakuma for some time now.
That's correct.
You're aware that in April, on the 17th of April 2020, we submitted a petition to UNHCR. If you remember, the title of that petition was A Safe Place. We need a safe place petition. This safe place can be anywhere in Kakuma, can be anywhere in Kenya, as long as it is a safe place to live in.
That is 1 year ago.
We went to a meeting with them on the 19th of February this year. Since then in April, and we presented one request. Over 200 refugees of LGBTQ I+ profile. We asked for a safe place. We recorded this meeting just in case they pretended they did not hear. We have it on record. We asked for one thing, a safe place. When they come, they release a statement saying that these are looking for resettlement. So then they can explain the injuries, they can explain all the... You see, what they are saying, they are misreporting our request to be able to explain what is happening. Even if people hurt themselves, which is not true, why would somebody hurt themselves? And why wouldn't UNHCR protect that person? What is the scope of their protection? You see, what they are not explaining is what is their work in all this. They're saying that is happening there, this is happening there, but they're not telling people what is our work in this.
Yeah, because I think that a naive person who has not actually engaged with LGBTQ plus refugees, not only in Kakuma, but also in Nairobi, will look at UNHCR's statement and believe everything that is there. From what I hear from the refugees is that is a misrepresentation of the actual situation.
UNHCR has intentionally refused to give us a safe place because we have spoken out against them. It's actually some sort of retribution. And I'm going to show you in their statement how this is true. They have decided that this group of refugees, whether they die, let them die, because how dare they speak against us? A refugee, some of us have been told that, how can you even be a human rights activist? You have no rights. It's that attitude that UNHCR is exhibiting by deciding that you will not have protection. How dare you raise your voice?
I've seen reports of intimidation
absolutely
of some of the defenders. Anything you want to say about that?
It's very unfortunate, Victor, that for a nation that is a signatory to different instruments that promote and uphold rights of everyone, the dignity of every person, actually can utter such a statement. There is a lot of intimidation for those of us that have spoken out. We have been actually threatened with repatriation. We've been threatened with detention. I think even some disappearance of sorts.
Wow.
So when you stop seeing some of us, then you know the threats have been made real in our behalf. But just to go back a bit, UNHCR should listen to the refugees if they want the public to have confidence in them. And then they don't need to write saying, we are committed. If a refugee says, all we need is a safe place, people are going to hear what the refugee is asking. Actually, they want a safe place in Kenya, not resettlement as Ukraine. So it does not explain their inactivity. There is a problem with UNHCR, and the longer they retain that sort of attitude that how dare you speak against us, then the more exposed they will be. And the farther away they'll move from the principles that have actually guided them through the years. And they will get more and more unrecognizable as an institution.
Gotcha. Still on the statement.
Yes, please.
It looks like you found so many interesting paragraphs. Is there another paragraph you just want that UNHCR, in which UNHCR has misinformed the world about what's happening in Kakuma?
Yes. They say they are concerned by the incidents as well as increasing tension between this group and other refugees.
The tension between Block 13, LGBTQ plus refugees,
and other refugees.
Wow.
They even claim in the statement that there is tension between some sections of the LGBTQI plus refugees. Now, I want to set this categorically clear, that there is no tension between the LGBTQ refugees in the Kakuma camp. These are things that UNHCR has created to look like it's concerned. If you remember, on the 12th of September, they issued a statement where they said, UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, is appealing for calm and the easing of tensions in Kakuma refugee camp. And then they went on to talk about yesterday, that was 11th of September, 2020, yesterday's violent confrontation between some LGBTQI refugees and members of the local community.
Confrontation.
Let me correct your language, UNHCR. What you're calling tension is homophobia.
It should be named.
Rectify your language. This is homophobia. This is transphobia. Those words exist. They are not tensions. They went on to say that one of the attackers got injured and was taken to the hospital, where he was treated and released and sent home. Is that an institution that is concerned about the incidents that are happening in Kakuma? You treat an attacker in your own hospital and send him home, and you claim you are concerned?
The one who came and attacked innocent people. Tell me something. Did UNHCR also treat the ones that were attacked?
Absolutely. One of the lesbian ladies was badly injured on the head. They claimed it was a minor injury. And then they exaggerated the injury of the attacker. Then treated him.
So they said the injury on her head. Yes, I remember the statement that
yes, it was a minor
the
injury.
woman who was attacked. They said it was a minor injury. While she called me asking for help with
she was losing a lot of blood.
Hospital, to go to a proper hospital, because she was meant to wait, I think, for some time.
Yeah,
Bled
It
and
was a
bled and bled, and then they told her it
She
was
bled
minor.
for hours before she could be attended to, simply because she
That's
didn't report
horrible.
positive.
That's horrible.
But the point I'm making, Victor, here is that UNHCR has to use the right language.
Yeah.
What they are calling tension is actually homophobia. What they are
Interesting.
calling, yes, what they are calling simple lack of calmness is actually continuous attacks. Until they get their language right. And remember that all refugees are here for their protection. They will continue to make these kind of embarrassing statements.
So is that why they talk about dialogue? Because they just see this as tension, which is actually homophobia and transphobia and violent attacks because of that.
Yes.
Because I have
That's the
seen
next part.
talking about dialogue, and you have rejected dialogue with your rapists
You highlighted a very
and
good point.
house banners. What's your say on that? What's your take on that?
Let me just read for you what they say here. They said that they have undertaken, together with the Kenyan Refugee Affairs Secretariat, a number of initiatives. One, they have increased police patrols, something they've said, I think, as far back as 2 years ago. Medical, legal, psychosocial assistance. These things only appear in their computers. They only appear in their statements. The police cannot protect us. They told us frankly that we don't have the kind of protection you need. It's not about lack of will. I think it's lack of capacity. And
The police told you that?
absolutely, they said we cannot. The kind of security you need, we cannot give it to you. In fact, one of them said, "Have UNHCR build a police station where you sleep."
Wow.
And those are the ones they said have increased patrols. But anyway, they say among the initiatives they have undertaken is talking to community leaders. So they are calling us to a dialogue with community leaders. They hope that we will change our views and engage in these kinds of dialogue. Now, immediately after that, they say that over the past several months, 30 individuals with LGBTQI profile have been relocated from Kakuma 3. Now, listen to the next part. They say this was based on protection concerns raised by them following careful assessment by their teams on the ground. Who writes these things for UNHCR?
UNHCR.
On one hand, they have a group that they assess. The group they claim is living in safety. They give them a proper protection assessment and relocate them. For us, they send us to beg for mercy from our attackers.
That's ridiculous.
How can they have double standards? One group you give assessment and relocate. The other you say you go and beg the community for them to have mercy upon you.
Well, that's their responsibility to protect you from those dangerous members of the community.
Victor, this is unacceptable.
It is unacceptable.
You cannot have two
UNHCR
standards.
should be held accountable for this, if they're even confessing it in those statements.
This is why I'm telling you that even with the impending closure of the camp, we are worried because some of us have been sacrificed. For us, we are to meet our attackers, we are to meet the rapists, we are to meet the ones who cut us with the machetes, while the others are being taken in secret rooms and given assessment.
Wow. It's disheartening.
That's why what they call a small group has not received protection for all these years, because our fate has been handed to the community. As far as they are concerned, it is the community to decide whether we remain safe or not, while they protect those whom they say are relatively safer. How can they put this in a statement and be proud about it? You're assessing some and you're sending others to the attackers. I'm telling you, this is shocking, Victor. It's not the kind of admission you expect from an institution like UNHCR. But then what do you expect from an institution that has made up its mind that it will not protect some people? And they're writing the same statement from April last year. They talk about public dialogue. They talk about increase in patrols. They talk about psychosocial services. They talk about medical. Then they end up saying, please, we hope you will listen to the community. It's the same statement over and over and over again.
And it is actually very ridiculous, because I talked to a woman at Block 13, a lesbian woman, who told me once that she could not believe that UNHCR was asking her to talk to the very people who raped her.
It's inconceivable.
She cannot go and start working out a relationship with their very rapist. And that touched me so much.
That's why some of us have added fear, because now on top of the attacks that are part of Kakuma, you have an institution that is bearing on you and saying, look, we are going to get you. Some of us have reported legitimate concerns, worrying concerns. We're fighting for life. Nobody wants to listen. We have been given out as a sacrifice.
What is happening with the other partners of UNHCR around Kakuma? We know you have the International Rescue Committee, you have the Danish Refugee Council, and so many others. Are they coming to the rescue?
No.
No.
Apparently, the lead agency is UNHCR, and it's the one with the resources. They are the policy makers with the Kenyan government. They initiate initiatives and interventions. Unless they initiate them, nothing much can be done. For example, I've had several assessments with the Danish Refugee Council, but they tell you that it's up to UNHCR. And it is here proudly writing that we assess the ones that have no problems, and for you, we are sending you to talk to the community that is attacking you. This is embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. It is terrible, but it's so sacrificing of the weakest of the community.
How can they write that they assessed 30 people? Why not assess the others that have reported incidents?
They seem to inform the world that the 30 actually came from your group.
Nobody has left our group. There were a few people who were told by UNHCR to kneel and beg, please forgive us for talking about you. They were told, please kneel and beg, and then we'll protect you. But even those who knelt...
Repeat that. They are refugees who UNHCR asked to please to beg for their
forgiveness.
For forgiveness. Forgiveness for what?
I hear for speaking out about them, for being associated with the voice at Block 13.
Oh, geez.
For them, they have set the refugees in Block 13 as an enemy, not as a refugee. They have looked at Block 13 as a rebel group, not as refugees. That's why they find it very, very easy to write that they have not protected us. Rather, they have asked us to go and speak to the community that is responsible for the injuries. They find it very, very, sensible to put in
the Gilbert, that they could be refugees, or they are refugees that are not at at Block 13, that are LGBT and facing these attacks, but actually they will not report them because they have had this understanding with UNHCR.
Absolutely.
Not to expose or not to talk about their attacks.
If you want to get help from UNHCR, you must shut up. You must keep quiet. Now, they have had help from some vultures. I call them vultures. There's some organizations that have come to eat our dying flesh. They sell our blood, they sell our injuries, and run some huge charity programs to make a lot of money. Now, those ones have silenced some of the refugees for UNHCR.
Yeah, I saw some organizations like I think it was African Human Rights Coalition and another that are in support of what UNHCR is saying, in support of their statements.
Yeah,
And again, I asked, who is the victim here? In my head, who is the victim here? Should we continue to blame the victim for being a
yeah.
victim? You know, for being hurt, for being raped, for being banned, set alive. You know,
These all these vultures
I
that
know
come
about
in
the intimidation that
of
happens.
organizations have
Intimidation.
one thing in common.
Mm,
They want to keep you in Kakuma.
yeah.
So they'll blind you with some little money, knowing the life of refugees, but they don't want you out of Kakuma. They want you in Kakuma. They pretend that they want to make your life comfortable. They will not protect you from an attacker, but they will give you some money to buy some juice after you've been attacked. All those vultures have helped in silencing. I was actually shocked by one of those organizations. I think it is Oram or something that said
ORAM is
if
a refugee support organization.
yes, that said if some refugees have money, then relationships can improve, which is I think absolutely ridiculous. Yes, they rather have the refugees earning some money, perhaps paying off the attackers not to beat them. It
Oh, this
is
is the organization that started projects for LGBTQ refugees in Kakuma.
here in 2019, but even in
Do you have
2019,
those projects? Do you have those projects at Block 13?
no, we don't. We are running for dear lives, abandoned by UNHCR to our enemies. How can you think of making soap? It's a joke, and not a funny one.
It is.
Yeah, it's a
It is.
horrible joke.
Yeah.
Yes.
People are looking, they're wondering right now if they won't be attacked tonight or if they will be attacked tonight or not.
So
I mean, we have about 10 minutes left. Is there anything that you still want to pull out or flesh out of that statement, or any other statements or anything else about what is happening at Block 13?
when UNHCR brought the LGBTQ plus refugees from their compound in April 2020, actually, we arrived on Block 13 on the 1st of May 2020. There were very few shelters, and they left all of us sleeping outside.
Mm.
Most of the people that have been injured badly are among those that are sleeping outside. UNHCR, those people are not looking for resettlement. They are looking for a safe place. This is something that you have refused to do, something as basic as giving somebody shelter. You have found time to write your ridiculous statements, but you have failed even to shelter LGBTQ refugees simply because they will not accept to be under some of your, organizations that are using, paying money to have people silent in Kakuma. In your paragraph 3, it's actually paragraph 4, UNHCR says it's their sole objective to ensure the protection of all refugees. How come you have failed to protect what you call a small group for over a year? People have bodies that are burned 3/4. And you're saying, but others are living in safety. Is that an answer you should be giving? Is that an institution whose sole objective is to ensure protection of all refugees? And then you say we are still committed? The fact that you feel there is no confidence in your commitment shows you how far off you've gone. You've strayed so far. You've strayed so far. For most of us, we don't recognize you. And we should be able to identify with you. since you're the UN Refugee Agency. But we can no longer identify with you. We don't understand you. Victor, after the victims got burnt on the 15th of March, and the hassle that went on after to have them taken to a decent hospital, UNHCR decided that the caregivers were not to be there. They did a lot of funny things. You remember we had to buy medicine when they were in Lodwar. We have the original receipts, but they took pictures and claimed they bought medicine.
Yeah, in Lodwar, I think that the medicine was bought by the funds that people collect on the GoFundMe page, and also everything that they have used in both Kakuma and Lodwar has been bought by Block 13 funds.
They could not protect those two, but they have an opportunity to protect others. If they want these statements to be believable, that their sole objective is to protect all refugees, then they can start by protecting those that are still in danger. But to show you that the problem with UNHCR is deeper, you see, for them, they believe that if you blame the victim, then the problem will go away. Even as we speak, an LGBTQ person was arrested for that incident. He was arraigned in court and was not charged.
An LGBT person was arrested for the fire.
Yes.
Interesting.
They would treat a Turkana who has entered the camp and attacked us and send him home, but they arrest an LGBTQ person and not charge him and keep him in prison. He's been there for over a week. And that's an institution that is there to protect all refugees. You see, they have this obsession that if they can blame this on the refugees, then they will have explained everything. They could never be so wrong. Because that does not explain everything. We've been attacked during day, Victor. Broad daylight. Everybody has seen us bleeding. So by arresting one of us, you think that is going to explain why the Turkanas walked in our camp and beat us? Why a sea of South Sudanese surrounded us and sent over a third of us to hospital? These things are well recorded. That does not explain everything.
In these last few minutes, Gilbert, I would like you to speak to the UNHCR. Tell them what you want them to do for Block 13. I know you have before, but they need to hear you again, because probably they will hear this time.
I doubt that they will hear, but I'm hoping they will. UNHCR, we are asking for a safe place, not resettlement as you've claimed, a safe place. This is the request we made to you on the 19th of February. This is the request we made to you a year back in April at your compound, a safe place. Whether in Kakuma or in Nairobi or in Kisumu, wherever you will find it. That's all we ask for. Is that too much to ask? If it is too much, then surely you have no place among the refugees. I call on the UNHCR to release Jonan Muwezi, who is in custody without charge. They have not charged him. To release him immediately, as this is persecution of the LGBTQ. You have failed to arrest all our attackers. Arresting one of us will not take away the problem. Issuing embarrassing statements like this, where you have those you assess and those you send to the community to decide their fate, will not improve your image. It will not give us protection. It will not justify your funding. Stop lying to the funders. Stop lying to the public. Stop lying to those who are concerned that we are asking for resettlement. All we are asking for is a safe place. Please give us a safe place.
Wow, I hope that they get that message this time, Gilbert. I know, I mean, if we don't have time. I know that you have a lot you want to share about Block 13 and Kakuma Camp in general when it comes to LGBTQ refugees. But I also know that some good things have happened. I know that the campaign for your safety is increasing. And I wonder if you have a word or two to those organizations and individuals that have come out, to fight for human rights, and also to those that need to come on board.
I would like to thank all the organizations that have been able to see through the obvious lies that UNHCR has been painting. I'd like to thank Global Interfaith Network. I'd like to thank Just Associates. I'd like to thank the Black Migrant Project. I'd like to thank Pan-African ILGA. I'd like to thank Center for Minority Rights and Strategic Litigation. I'd like to thank all those organizations that have stood with us, that have been able to put their foot down and say, no, this is wrong. These are no longer victims. UNHCR is looking at them as an enemy and have called to UNHCR to regain their senses, especially their sense of duty, and perform their job. There are numerous individuals, there are politicians, and very important dignitaries that have taken their stand and have approached the UNHCR. I'd like to thank the Kenyan Human Rights Commission. I'd like to thank Amnesty International. Would like to thank all other individuals that have taken the time and the concern to talk to the UNHCR. Philia, you've done a wonderful job. Women, Million Women Rise. All of you have been brave and have been able to reject the obvious lies that UNHCR has told. We thank you for the campaign. Please do not give up. There is an international week of action that is coming. That is, I think, the 7th of April to the 12th, right?
That's correct, to the 13th.
Yeah. 7th to 13th. Mm-hmm. Please be part of it. Mm-hmm. Let UNHCR know that if indeed we are that small a group, then it should be easier to protect us. It's easier to protect us than to write a statement. Please be part of that group. If you want to do a protest, do it. If you want to write. If you want to make a call. If you want to do a virtual one, do that. But let them know that this is unacceptable and they cannot have double standards while they protect others and expose others.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you too as well.
Thank you to Block 13. You guys are brave. You guys deserve to be treated as other human beings, because you are human. You are human beings, and these human rights that everybody enjoys, they also belong to you too. And we will continue to bring you here to update our followers about, things. We hope that very soon, probably in the next, like yesterday, the UNHCR will get you out of Kakuma camp to a safe place, and that will begin to report exactly what is happening to you in way of your predicament. Thank you so much, Gilbert.
Thank you, Victor.
Have a good night. Friends, thank you so much for being here today. You have heard for yourselves. It was just going to be about updates, but Gilbert, the lead spokesperson of Block 13 in Kakuma camp, and for all those refugees who are not afraid to speak out, even those who, just cannot say anything, because as you see here, one Nancy Casey says that a lot of them, they are refugees who actually report to others about the attacks, but that they are so afraid, or they've been threatened by UNHCR and AHRC. It means that all LGBTQ plus refugees in Kakuma camp are not safe, both those who report their attacks and those who have been silenced, that they cannot report their attacks. You can find this You can share this live show with others. You can also find it on YouTube, and sometimes when we have a live show here, it is also streaming live on YouTube. So please subscribe to the Victor Mukasa Show channel on YouTube. You will find all the videos and all the stories of LGBTQ plus refugees in Kakuma camp, their testimonies of the various attacks that they've been subjected to. I thank you so much, and we will be here back when it is needed. Au revoir. Adios. Mwelaba ila mwebali nyo.